Hi everyone, my name is Pong. I'm a steelpan player based in Montreal. Yeah, that's what I do. I play the steelpan. I very much into music, all forms of music. I recently got into artist management, and happy to be here.
On this second episode of the Heritage and Hustle Project, join me today in celebrating Pong, the extraordinary steel pan player and ambassador hailing from Montreal. His music isn't just notes, it's a living memory etched in our minds. In this project, I'm thrilled to have Pong share his journey, personal reflections on Black history, and offer a glimpse into what lies ahead. Get ready for a musical odyssey as we delve into the harmonious journey of Pong all together.
Yes, when I think about that question, I think about how the steelpan came to be and how well the history of that is that the enslaved people who were brought over to Trinidad were not allowed to play drums of like leather skin drums. So um, the slave masters, they kind of felt threatened anytime like we would communicate through drumming or through our traditional dance and everything. So that's why they they for it was forbidden. However, time passed. The slave masters were not there anymore, and there was innovation that took place. Seeing as Trinidad is close to Venezuela, had some oil reserves of its own. Initially started with what was called tambu bamboo, um, which I honestly I'm still learning more about. But essentially, it was picking up bamboo sticks and making music off of the bamboo sticks, and then eventually it changed into um, like a pail, like a garbage pail, and making noise and rhythms off of that. And then eventually, somebody thought, how about the oil barrels that we have? And it started just being rhythmic and just very percussive, very just making rhythms that we would enjoy and use for different ceremonies and stuff. And then in the late 30s, early 40s, keep in mind it's a very young instrument, last acoustic instrument of the 20th century. Um, there was melody that was brought to the steel pan. So I say all of that to answer the question. Like when I come through tough times, I think about how the steel pan came to be and how it was um, a labor of love and innovation and really creation. And it's kind of like a metaphor of coming from nothing, and how you are able to still make things out of the things that you have. So it's really think to be like grateful for what you have. You could create based off of what you have. You don't have to wait for people. Um, and then even the other part of it, the other part of the history of the steel pan is that the people who ended up making the steel pan were not seen as good people. They were actually seen. It actually came from the poor people in Trinidad. So this beautiful instrument that is loved and admired today. A lot of people don't know the history of how it came from poverty, post slavery times. It came, and those people were really looked at as like vagrants and vagabonds, and they had all these stigmas that were put on them. So when I speak to different pan pioneers, people, let's say, who are 60 plus, they would say that they used to sneak from their house to go play pan. So as much as it's loved and admired now, um, when I come through tough times, it actually makes me think of like how I got started and how I had a lot of barriers too. So that roundabout answer for how to what I think about and what kind of wisdom I've gotten from this instrument and dealing with tough times. I feel that I'm making history by sharing. I had a little bit of a little bit of how would you call it? Uh, Not midlife crisis, but something happened that last year actually around this time. I was playing in the metros. I started playing as a soloist in the metros, and I saw a friend, and he was saying hi. He filmed me a little bit, and I hadn't seen him in a long time. Gave me dap, hug, whatever. And as we were hugging, whatever, he kind of like bumped me and bumped me into my pan, and the pan went crashing down into the ground. And I think the only reason why my heart didn't break in half is because I didn't see it happen. I heard the people behind me go, and then I heard the big bang. So when that happened, I there was a big dent. I mean, she's fixed now, but there was a big dent. It was all the way out of tune, and I had uh, I had a feeling of like this might be it. You know, I don't know if my regular tuner. I didn't even tell him about it. I didn't even tell him about it. But there is a guy in Virginia, a white guy. He learned from the father of the modern steel pan, who's looked at arguably as the father of the modern steel pan, Mr. Eli Manette. So he learned under him, and me following him on the internet. I've even inquired about buying a pan from him in the past, so we had a conversation, and I learned a lot from Mr. Ryan Roberts. Shout out to Ryan Roberts. I learned a lot from him, um, and eventually he told me, "Send me your pan, I'll fix it for you." Thankfully, it only like the dent was really on the skirt, although it did affect the notes. Thankfully, it didn't happen on the belly. He said that he would have been able to fix it still, but it probably would have been harder to do. So all that to say, I had a crisis, and I felt like I had a moment just feeling like, did I give enough to this instrument? Because I don't know if I am coming back from this. so so yeah, after getting the pan back from Ryan, he actually tuned her in a way that she was better than I ever had her before. So he really knows what he's doing. But when I got her back, I told myself that I would give back to the instrument as much as I can. So hence why I'm focused more on workshops and educational series and stuff. And this is how I will be making history as a black entrepreneur, and I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it. Who to collaborate with? I would. It's kind of a tough question. Even before I started playing pan as a soloist, I was always into like music production. So like beats, hip hop is my first love. So I really try to bring the steel pan out of just the box of Caribbean and soca, reggae, dancehall. Of course, I play that music, but I'm part of a community of artists who want to see the instrument respected on the same level of as like a guitar or piano, because like people look at it as a cultural instrument, but no, one day you're gonna see somebody playing for the Montreal Symphony Orchestra, for example. And these things are happening. People are doing some really interesting things with pan. So, um, but who to collaborate with? Dream collaboration. Uh, it's really a tough question. Um, I want to work with anybody in Montreal who sees the value of this instrument, but like, of a certain caliber of artist. So I do a lot of collaborations with DJs. I want to do more session work. Like, if a producer wants me on their beat and they want to have the real sounding steel pan, I'd love to do that. So I'm trying to get into doing more session work in the studios. Um, but like, going back to my hip hop roots, it would have to be like Pharrell. It'd have to be Dr. Dre, um, Timberland. Timberland would definitely. I know he'd appreciate a steel pan artist on his beats, So, but outside of that, like, I'm really looking to work with whoever will help me push this instrument further than where it's at now. Some misconceptions that I've come across have to do with the instrument just being a cultural instrument. Like I was saying, like, I'm part of a community of artists, and I feel like the steel pan community as a whole, if they are not, they should they should be pushing for, and we are pushing for the instrument to be seen on the same level as a guitar, as a piano. And sure, it doesn't have the years of those instruments. It's not even 100 years old. Again, invented in the 1930s and 40s, but it's an instrument like any other, the last acoustic instrument of the 20th century, and a lot of beautiful music comes from it. I've played everything from Beethoven and Bach to Justin Bieber and Drake. So I've played as a accompaniment. I do session work. I do my solo work, and the instrument really deserves that respect. But it's coming, so be on the lookout for when a steel pan is being featured as a part of a symphony orchestra. I know people who are doing some very interesting things with this with the steel pan, with electronic music and adding some cool, think like bass guitar pedals or electric guitar pedals, adding that to the steel pan. So very cool stuff happening with the steel pan. So that's one misconception, is that the instrument is just for carnival time or for Black History Month or for, just as a cultural piece of a wedding, when it's really much more than that. Another misconception is that, only Trinis play pan. Only Trinis play pan. No, how could that be? If we want the instrument to be seen on a global scale, there are big bands in Japan. There are massive bands in in Brazil. There at least there's one very big guy in Brazil. But I know there are big bands in Japan. Um, there are bands all over the world. France, the French Panorama is coming up. Um, there are bands and players all over the world who are doing very interesting things with the steel pan. So, sure, I walk around. I have a Trini flag on my case. I'm not Trini, Jamaican Nigerian, but that's where the steel pan is from, and that's what it is. My case will get some rebranding soon, and we'll go from there. But no, not just Trini's play pan, and the instrument is not just a cultural piece or cultural instrument. In terms of wanting to progress as a musician or in any of your dreams, but having to do with pan or musicianship, I would encourage anybody up and coming not to stop. I started when I was 9. I started as a soloist when I was 25. Um, and from that time, I'd heard, even my own mom asking, like, what are you getting from this? why should you still be playing with the band? And close people will, they're looking out for you. In the end, I know it was coming from love, but at the same time, there was a little bit of what's the word? There was a little bit of friction having to do with my diving head into this instrument. Um, so yeah, you will have detractors. You will have people who seemingly are looking out for your best interest. Some will actually be looking out for your best interest, and some might not. This is part of the game. But I've had many moments of wanting to stop or feeling like this was it for me. um, that accident in the metro last year, or when I had appendicitis when I was 26 in my last semester of university. I was like, yeah, I don't know if I have the energy for this anymore. But turned out not to be true. If you really love what you do, I think as long as you don't stop, like you hear it from all kinds of entrepreneurs and famous people, or respectable people having to do with different causes and music, civil rights. Just don't stop. And if you continue, you'll be fine. I was never the best with like a 5 year plan. I'm definitely past 5 years. Um, the pandemic made me more of a list person, so I started like getting more organized and stuff. But so if you were to ask me where I would be in 5 years, it's very hard for me to answer, but I won't be at the same place as now. So just don't stop with whatever your passion is, and you'll be fine. Don't stop.
As the final notes linger in the air, Pong's steel pan melodies echo not just as music, but as a testament to the power of passion and perseverance. His journey, intricately woven into the fabric of the Hustle and Heritage Project, stand as a masterpiece in its own right. With upcoming workshops, Pong invites us to continue the symphony of learning and creativity. In the grand finale of this awesome experience, we applaud Pong not just for playing the steel pan, but for orchestrating a symphony of inspiration. When asked about the quote he lives by, Pong shared the wisdom of Nipsey Hussle. The best thing you can do for a person is inspire them. That's the best currency you can offer, inspiration. These words resonate in Pong's journey and underscore the profound impact he leaves. Pong not only shares his extraordinary musical talent, but also becomes a beacon of inspiration for all who witness his artistry. As we bid farewell to this second episode of the Hustle and Heritage Project, let the echoes of Pong's melodies and the empowering words of Nipsey Hussle continue to inspire us daily.